Hi there and welcome. My name is Jordan and today we'll be talking about lichen sclerosus, blood deficiencies, and Chinese medicine. If you don't already know my story, I was diagnosed when I was 8 and I overcame constant flares when I was 24. And for me, I did that through diet, but I continue to research lichen sclerosus and different causes or possible causes and different treatment options other than just steroid creams. And so that's what I'll be sharing today is treating lichen sclerosus with Chinese medicine and how I believe lichen sclerosus may be linked to a blood deficiency. This kind of goes along with my Ayurveda video where it touches on a blood problem resulting in reproductive tissue problems. So that's what we're going to get into today. And if you haven't seen my video about my eye health and my liver health, treating it with Chinese medicine, I see a Chinese medicine practitioner because I was having a really hard time with my eyes where I was having blackout vision. And I went to like a medical doctor, I went to an ophthalmologist, and neither one could help me. And so I ended up at a Chinese medicine practice, and she told me it was a liver problem. And so we were treating my liver, well actually my spleen, because I was nursing and she didn't want me to do a full liver detox while nursing just because those toxins can go into baby. So we were treating my spleen, nourishing my blood, which would in turn nourish my liver, and that actually worked really well for me. I haven't had any eye trouble ever since, and so I'm a big advocate for Chinese medicine. And like I said, I was continually treating my spleen, but when I thought I was ready, I signed up to do her liver detox, and when I say her, it's my Chinese medicine practitioner. I signed up for her liver detox, and she gave me the whole package, but she said my body wasn't ready for doing a liver detox, and we were going to continue treating my spleen. But she gave me two things that I needed to take. One was like a type of seaweed, and then one was something else. And then she gives you a formula catered to the specific individual. And so for me, she gave me Si Wu Wan. And so I was looking up what it's used for. So I'll just read to you on my computer. This was the first one I looked up, and it stood out to me because it reminded me of lichen sclerosus. And so that formula, the Si Wu Wan, is used for anemia, postpartum anemia, threatened abortion, infertility, insomnia, chronic nephritis, chronic itching and dermatitis, atopic dermatitis, and urticaria. It also says that this formula is used to nourish the blood and regulate blood circulation. Blood deficiency usually manifests in such signs as pale mucous membranes, a pale or dry tongue, and then it goes on and on. So a few of those things stood out for me, relating it back to lichen sclerosus, the itching, dermatitis, or skin problems, and the pale mucous membranes all reminded me of lichen sclerosus. And then also knowing that my Chinese medicine practitioner is constantly treating my spleen because she thinks I have a blood deficiency. And so I was wondering if a blood deficiency has something to do with lichen sclerosus, because it seems like what I've had has been a long-lasting thing that has accumulated over time with my blood. And actually, going back to this website, after reading it the first time, I saw it's from the American Journal of Traditional Chinese Medicine, Veterinarian Medicine. But even though they're talking about animals in this, I think it still pertains to humans. And I still find it very interesting that a blood deficiency can manifest in the skin. And like I said, considering lichen sclerosus being a blood deficiency reminded me of my Ayurveda video when this kind of came up, and I also thought, that makes a little bit of sense. If you haven't seen that one, it is here. Okay, so it's this book, the complete book of Ayurveda. It's huge. And on page 81, there is a diagram of how when you eat something, it goes to your plasma, and that creates the blood, muscle tissue, fat tissue, bone tissue, back and nerve tissue, and then the reproductive tissue. And it explains that if there is a deficiency or a problem in any part of this cycle, it will correlate with the tissues afterward having a problem as well. And so if you have a blood problem, that will affect the muscle tissue, fat tissue, and then the last one, and the one that gets it the worst, would be the reproductive tissue. And just like I said, how they say in the book on 82 is disturbances in any of these tissues weakens the tissue that develops subsequently. And at the end of that page, going to the next one, is sufficient oxygen creates a healthy body and skin color. Many illnesses result from oxygen deficiency in the tissues. And we all know that blood is used for oxygen exchange. And so is there a blood problem resulting in lichen sclerosus with the pale skin? As it just said, that oxygen deficiency causes pale skin. On 86, it says they are constantly being formed, destroyed, and reformed, maintaining a state of dynamic metabolic equilibrium. And so when I read that, I take it as if there is a deficiency or a problem in one part of the cycle, it will then continue to another part of the cycle and cause a problem because it is constantly being formed and reformed. And vice versa, when you heal a problem or overcome a deficiency, subsequently all the tissues coming after that also have the ability to heal. And just like I always say, I think you absolutely can heal from lichen sclerosus. I know that mainstream medicine tells you you can't, but I think your body always has the ability to heal itself if you give it the right conditions. And just maybe nourishing the blood is the right step toward doing this. On page 124, it basically says the same thing. The potential deficit is made up by the intake and digestion of nutrition, which builds new tissues. Health and illness are therefore directly dependent on nutrition and digestion. Maybe you've heard the term that food is either medicine to you or poison to you. That's basically what that just said. That is said further on page 251. Some of the most obstinate illnesses to cure are skin diseases. Some of the hardest ones to cure are skin diseases. In the chapters on pathology, it has been stated over and over again that the main cause for skin disease is improper nutrition. So the foods we eat directly affect our body's health. So if we are not nourishing a certain part of our body, let's say our blood, that then causes other problems to cascade throughout the body. To segue back into Chinese medicine, I was looking all this up. I remembered my Ayurveda stuff and I wanted to bring that into this video. But I was looking up lichen sclerosus and Chinese medicine and if anyone's treated lichen sclerosus with Chinese medicine. And they have, and there are a couple websites on it. The one we're going to go over today is Fifth Avenue Acupuncture and Herbs Center. And they break down treatments for lichen sclerosus and it being caused by a blood deficiency. So I'm just going to go over what they say according to Chinese medicine is causing lichen sclerosus from their perspective, which is so different than mainstream medicine. So this is what they say. According to traditional Chinese medicine, lichen sclerosus occurs due to 1. Damp heat accumulating in the lower burner, lower torso. It causes skin redness, itchiness, and pain. 2. Blood deficiency and poor blood circulation, creating thinning tissues, dryness, and white patches on the skin. I thought that was really interesting because my feet are always cold. I've always had that. So just like the blood circulation, and that's what my person's also treating is my blood. And 3, imbalance of the liver, spleen, and kidney leads to immune system disorder, which causes an autoimmune reaction on genital tissues. Isn't that so different than anything you've ever heard about lichen sclerosus before? I found that really interesting. I also found it really relevant to my life. Always having cold feet, the skin itchiness, like all of the things, but knowing the direct cause of them from a whole body perspective was really interesting and fascinating to me. And they go into different ways of treating the body with specific acupuncture points. And then they have dietary advice for lichen sclerosus. And they don't say in this specific website which herbs or like formulas like these ones, like they are using. But there are other Chinese medicine lichen sclerosus websites that do share which ones they're using. So you just have to dig a little deeper. But I found that all very fascinating and all kind of tied together between the Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, both having the same view of a tissue problem starting as a blood problem. And so maybe us with lichen sclerosus need to treat our blood deficiency. And so for me, who I am today and what I know, I would probably go see a Chinese medicine practitioner first before seeing any other practitioner for actually any health issue, but also lichen sclerosus. That is all I have to share about lichen sclerosus, blood, and Chinese medicine. Just taking you along by my step-by-step, looking it up yesterday, what I saw, and I wanted to share that here so everyone has a little bit of information that they can go see. I will leave all the links in the description below so you can read them for yourself as well. And as always, I wish you the very best on your healing journey.